button again. It's powerful negatory at work here.
That's me.
Oh no. Fuck.
What bitrate do you stream at?
Hell. The hellish one.
Can I lower the quality?
I stream at 720. Yeah, at 60 FPS.
You on 360p and see if that changes anything. Speak.
Hello.
Okay, that's better.
Okay. So apparently, it's just a bunch of fiberglass insulation.
Yeah. No, that's what the attic cotton candy is.
I thought that was house meat.
Oh, he did ask. He like,
Yeah.
or do you call it house meat?
You
I said
must
no,
harvest
fiberglass
suck your
insulation. That is what I
house
call
meat
it.
from within.
Oh my god.
Ooh, good.
Anyway, what is your fucking BBC article that you have?
Okie
Yeah, let's actually start this shit.
dokily. Oakley dokily. So we have the front page of BBC World News.
The
On
best place
the
to
World
get
tab.
your news.
The best place to get a big black cock in the ass.
The best place to get your nudes.
If you like aircraft carriers. So anyway, first story is U.S. security focus no longer terrorism.
Shoot me a link. Oh wait, no, I
The-
have it, don't I?
You already have it. I sent it to you
Yeah.
because it was so good that we needed to talk about the impending nuclear book war, or
Look at
perhaps
this
it's
man's
just a
face.
nuclear war. God, he looks destroyed. He looks like Mitch McConnell almost.
No, Mitch Oh god, don't play a fucking video.
He doesn't play the sound though.
Yeah,
I need to
he's-
look up. pictures
He's
of
just
Mitch
moving
McConnell.
his jaw. No, Mitch McConnell looks like a fucking Palpatine. Like post-melt.
Post face melt.
Anyway, what is the actual
Alright,
contents of
he's-
this article?
I really like this image. Just holding on for a second. We're still talking about Mitch McConnell,
Oh,
or at least we're close. We're close to
do,
Mitch
do you have
McConnell.
an image?
And
Because I can
it's
just
a-
crack it
that
up
one.
on Discord.
that one right there. Just
Look at that chin.
that's a pretty thick chin.
That's an oily chin. Is that like, that's not airbrushed or anything, is it?
I don't think so.
That looks hilarious either way. Anyway. To the actual
So-
contents.
U.S. Defense Secretary James Mattis has said competition between great powers, not terrorism, is now the main focus of America's national security. So, we've come full circle. We went from competition between world powers to terrorism to competition between world powers. When are we going back to terrorism is my question.
Gotta wait for another 9/11, I guess.
Second 9/11-2 confirmed.
Oh my god.
They will
The revengeance.
do it. They'll do it. Okay, so now that we've cleared that up, I think 9/11-2 will happen this time as a conspiracy of the CIA,
Oh my god.
because and here's why. It's because they want to prevent the nuclear war. So, everybody's all riled up about the Cuban Missile Crisis #2, and everybody's sheltering in place, and then the other guys say, "Hey, what would be good for the United States right now? Oh, I know, another terrorist attack, so that we can switch our focus back to the real problem in the world, and that is terrorism."
I think Mattis always has the best quotes with, if you challenge us, it will be your longest and worst day, he warned.
Yeah, that is true, at least for the time being. On a
Well,
more serious note,
well, we just drone strike you to oblivion or nuke you, whichever one we feel like it.
drone nuke you. I'm just imagining thousands of drones.
No, you gotta break out the Davy Crockett again.
The people using it wouldn't survive it, but all right.
Didn't and that's him being a bitch. Anyway, you still here, Stefan?
Yes,
All right. Yeah,
I believe that was Brando. He doesn't want to suffer this.
Yeah. Didn't we like test sending infantry into an area that had just been nuked
In
like the 50s?
I mean, I imagine they would.
Or not nukes, like we would like some kind of atom bomb, we would blow it off in the area just as like a test area, and then just
So
have dudes run in to see how they fared. This is before we knew that like all that shit kills you.
Okay, so the discovery of radiation was way before we started testing nuclear weapons. So they knew that radiation was an issue.
Oh yeah, with
That's why they had bomb. That's why they had
shit.
bomb shelters. Yeah, that's why they had bomb shelters and shit.
Yeah. I remember
So-
seeing some kind of documentary in history class where they just told them, yeah, just put on a gas mask, you'll be fine.
They did have people that would be, I mean, relatively close to a nuclear detonation, like a bunch of generals and shit. And they'd have people that were even closer. I guess they'd been setting up or doing some sort of back end work. And there's actually quite a few pictures of just a bunch of soldiers sitting in the grass, turned away from the explosion with their like eclipse glasses on, so they didn't get blinded. And
Oh,
I forget what documentary it was, but it was like they were all. It might have been one of the Bikini Atoll tests, and they had a bunch of these guys in the field, and this guy was telling a story. You know, they'd sit him down. Either they were setting up an observation post or something like that, and they would all come out in the field, turn around, sit down, and you could just feel the wave of heat, the big blast of air pass over you, even though you were miles away from the like
how horrifying would that be?
killing range of the blast.
Yeah.
That not Cthulhu level because their sanity survived.
Yeah,
It's
I
just-
guess.
I suppose it would be akin to looking down at the Earth from space. You
Well-
realize how small you are.
I'm always thinking of the end of Doctor Strangelove. Never think that kind of stuff.
Mm.
Anyway, what's a bit more of the contents of this article? Scrolling down a bit, America's competitive edge fast eroding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say fast eroding might be putting a little too much urgency on it. It's not it's really kind of par for the course, honestly. It's just how the world works. You get a
Yeah.
world power, and then that world power eventually loses power. And now we're in a day and age where, or at least I personally think we're in a day and age where there won't be this big schism within America. America's not going to fall apart. We have the bureaucratic capability to keep track of the landmass that we own. Yeah.
And everyone has
It's-
guns, so like.
Yeah, everyone has guns. We have systems in place. It's not like the Romans that had difficulty even sending messages across the territory that they had.
I was seeing something of like, since most states put more, or they get more back from the government than they put in, how much each state would have to raise the tax for them to be self-sufficient. And I forget what it was for Kentucky, but I remember it was like more than doubled what we have.
Mm. Yeah. So it makes a lot of sense for the states to stay in the United States as opposed to just going off on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't see people, if they tried it, being successful, because there's too much in the way of separation between the military and the state that they're stationed in, right? So maybe in the past you might have these people that were from this area of the country because they couldn't travel, maybe by train or whatever. Maybe they didn't have train networks or whatever. They would just train in their hometown, be the militia, whatever, and they would have that state's sense of unity. They would have that kind of nationalistic tendency towards their individual state. But as the United States grew together and the federal government developed its own military, you see this kind of separation between the people from the states and the military. Like the people from the states go into the military, because like I went to Oklahoma to train. I might be in the Kentucky Guard, but I feel as if I belong more to the Army, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because it's the Army National Guard.
That's the same, like you got the same training.
Yeah. I got the same training. I might not do the same things as the active duty. We don't live every second of every day in the military, but we're still like the training regimen is based off of that. When you're indoctrinated, you go through that that phase. It's not, oh, you're dedicated to the state of Kentucky. No, you're all in the Army. That's it. That's end of story. So I don't think we would see, like in the Civil War, a lot of separation between people in the South or in the North or in different sections of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
It would take a lot of persuading for military commanders to give up their station or whatever in the United States military to join some harebrained scheme to go off and do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, we'd just fuck you to death.
Oh, yeah. Because if Texas tries to break away, they got Fort Hood right in the fucking middle of it. It may be massive, yes, but if they try to contract the National Guard is going to be like, well, we might be Texas National Guard, but we're also part of the Army, so then you have that those two factors pulling on the National Guard personnel. Not only that, but most of their actual equipment is at an Army base somewhere. It's like when I don't exactly know how the Texans do it, but in Kentucky, a lot of units will just go to Fort Knox or Fort Campbell, whatever's closer to train, because it's just more convenient than having the state set up a training center. And those things cost millions of, sometimes billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And the states can't afford that kind of thing. So we go to the big daddy government.
That's just the next thing whenever we're done talking about this.
While they would have access to light vehicles and shit, say if Kentucky left the Union, and the military bases stayed occupied by the government, my unit would not have access to the paladins that are its main weapon. That's the reason we exist. We're a field artillery unit. We would then not be able to complete our mission for whatever rebellion we were supporting. Granted, we would be soldiers, but you know, you can read everything. You can know your so well, but
1 moment.
they're gonna fuck you in the ass.
Okay,
They're
hopefully
gonna
they'll
figure
fix
out.
a few things.
Be gone, thought.
He won't be. I'm ready to fucking kick him. No, I just have the chat muted. Anyway. Yeah, so looking into this article, it's a growing threat from revisionist powers as different as Russia or China, nations that seek to create a world consistent of their authoritarian models. Mr. Mattis said, authoritarian models. That's interesting, coming from like the Secretary of Defense.
I mean, it's true. Russia is arguably less authoritarian than China, but
I
and
guess, but
China is more decentralized. They don't
both
have figure, but
fucking hell. They both fall under the category of practical dictatorships.
yeah.
I say practical because Russia technically holds elections.
Technically,
They don't put another guy on the ballot.
it's not Vladimir Putin's fault that all of his rivals died in terrible car accidents.
Not to mention all of his political opponents and journalistic opponents.
Oh yeah,
And anyone who ever said his mom looked gay.
or anyone who's ever actually been gay, because apparently Russia's super
No.
conservative.
We launched
that's
them out
a
of a
whole nother-
cannon a long time ago.
We'll just put all the gays, the Jews, whatever.
Yeah,
That's the Russian plan.
They banned video games, like, I forget which one it was, but they'll ban video games because they have like gay shit in them. Because God forbid our children see a homosexual, it might turn them gay instantly.
What I wonder is why Russia went to that. Why did Russia go to just conservative ignorance from, they just keep hopping from shit to shit. Like, you got this different pile of shit. It's the USSR, kind of organized, but it's still a pile of shit. And then you got the Russian Federation, which is a corrupt pile of shit. And then they still want to blame the United States for the actions of their own country, I kind of feel like. And that's I suppose that is slightly wrong, because the United States does or has imposed sanctions. But those sanctions were as a direct result of things that Russia has done that have been questionable.
Scroll down to
But the people don't see it, because I feel like they don't get an accurate picture. Like, they like you said, it's an effective dictatorship.
yeah.
So he being Vladimir Putin has control, or at least some modicum of control over what the people see, and I guess what they think.
I mean, no man thinks alone is kind of how you got to realize about that kind of shit. It's people can minimize how much your input makes output, but if you just never see someone else's opinion and it may like resonate more strongly with you, then that's just not going to be a part of your life.
Yep.
Scroll down to that U.S. military expenditure in that article. Take a look at that graph. because I think that's really fucking interesting, and I haven't seen anything like that.
2011?
Yeah, 2011 was the max.
Why?
I don't
Were we
know.
contracting new things then? That's weird. I mean, in the early 2000s, it should have been more. Maybe they were accounting for inflation, but then 2015, 2014 would be higher.
From
Maybe
300 billion to 700 billion in what 11 years, that would not be inflation.
No.
Like,
I mean,
why?
I'm just trying to come up with a bit of reasoning, but it doesn't make any sense because, when did we invade Iraq? When did we start the
I
whole?
believe 02.
Yeah, and then the budget started going up. 2006, about 500 and something million.
2003.
That kind of makes sense, but Obama got elected 2008. 2008.
Well, he started acting in 2009.
Okay, so he was in office by 2009.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if it was the previous administration that approved the budget or if he approved the budget.
It usually gets approved around kind of this time. I can't say for sure whether or not he did, but I would suspect.
I'd suspect
it was the previous administration, if I had to wager a guess.
If they had just a proposal on the table and they just went, but then it goes up after his election.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So my question is, where is that money? Where was there a jump in contracts? Were they trying to upgrade some things? I know we're trying to develop new technologies from there. Perhaps at smaller increments because that's a lot of fucking money.
But
part of this might have actually been pulling troops out of Iraq and Afghanistan, because if you think about it, you have to invest in the infrastructure to be able to transport all that equipment and all those personnel from the country that they were in back to the United States. Let's look. Let's look at this. US, that's YS. That's I. US withdrawal from Iraq. Okay. June 30th, 2009 to December 18th, 2011. Okay. Yeah, 2003 was the invasion of.
Hey, Stefan.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do me a favor really quick?
Yeah, sure.
Just disconnect and reconnect. Alright, I can't guarantee that solved anything. I'm just hearing a little bit of fuzziness on your end.
Yeah, it's probably my fucking mic anyway. But yeah, that's interesting. So the troop drawdown goes from right around when Obama was elected to 2011, and we see that's why. Yeah. That's why the budget increases over those years, those 3 years. Or at least that's my theory as to why. Because then it starts decreasing as we see the effects of not, having to maintain as many troops overseas.
Good Lord, everyone wants to talk to me.
They just love you, don't they?
Yes, they do. First I got dinged in Discord, and now I got my sister texting me.
See how many people are watching.
No strategy to survive with a predictable funding. As hard as the last 16 years, that is, since 1911, 9/11 attacks, had been, No enemy has harmed the U.S. military more than defense spending caps. Yeah, that's funny.
Anyway, honestly, it was about time. It was about time we realized the situation with Russia, because Russia's been playing this game, this kind of Cold War-esque game for longer than we have. It started, I'd say it started even before Crimea, but that was their big victory.
Yeah.
And as long as we keep, I think one of our mistakes is going to be continuing to fund rebel groups and shit.
When will we learn? When will we learn that that's just, you just don't want to do that? You want to win for them and then give them shit, because then they like you. Don't start with the, okay, everything's in hell, here's some news.
That's not necessarily exactly the case, because if we win for them, right, they get used to us winning for them. That's what happened in Afghanistan, or that's what's happening in Afghanistan right now. So we win for them, and then they expect our support. Like, they see our troops, they're like, okay, well, you're here to shoot all the bad guys for us, and we don't really have to do our job. Well, we need this, 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 and this. And they tell that to the American commander, because they believe the Americans are responsible for that kind of stuff. But really, we're trying to transfer out. But these people weren't made ready to defend their country. And we aren't giving them what they think they need, or maybe even what they actually need, because we have learned our lesson in part in that, you know, taking over a place, then giving them a bunch of weapons, it's probably not the best idea. So right now we're limiting giving we're limiting our contributions to small arms and stuff like that. We're not giving people RPGs or tanks or whatever, because that kind of stuff, especially in regions like Afghanistan, that are still fairly unstable, you open the door for the incompetent police to get raided by the maybe marginally more competent and slightly less high Taliban, and then all your shit's stolen, and then, well, the government you put in place is fucked, and the region's back to being completely fucked after you've left.
Which Modern Warfare game is it that you start out in, like, a training, like you're training locals? Is that 3? Because 1, you do it inside, you're like the SWAT team kind of thing. 2, you're in, I think you might actually, 2 is where you do it. Yeah. You remember that part? Like at the very beginning? Hello?
I forget. I had to put on a hoodie, and I didn't want all that noise of the mic. But anyway, I don't remember which one that is. Fuck.
I think it is 2.
But anyway, yeah, they're more used to the United States taking a more active role, like actually training their troops, or you know, they go out and teach them how to shoot or whatever.
Yeah.
Even that is more direct than what we're doing right now. What we're doing right now is an advisory kind of role. That's all we can really do for them.
We seem to.
We see.
Yeah.
We see what they're doing. We tell them, hey, you maybe shouldn't do that, but we can't exercise any kind of force or any kind of pressure to make them do what we want them to do. And fucking.
Well, the problem is when we're getting shot with AKs in the 2000s that we gave them in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. Even then, like you got a bunch of police dudes that are fucking little boys and tying them up to bunks
Oh
and
my
shit.
god.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
hearing stories about that a while back, and I was like, yeah, that's we could do something about that, but instead we just choose not to because we think it's strategically worth it to not
Mm,
like shoot them in the fucking face like we should because they are monsters.
yeah, there's a Vice documentary. I think it is This Is What Winning Looks Like. And they followed around I don't know if it was a full bird or a relief. I think it was a full bird. Well, the marine equivalent of a full bird. Um, but he was working directly with one of the police commanders, and he turns to the reporter, and he kind of points at him and points at this police dude, and he's like, "Yeah, we know that guy has fucking kids, and like it's really like we try to explain that he shouldn't be doing that." And then they show a clip of him of this military dude or this U.S. dude trying to explain
Yeah,
to
you're going all over
the Afghanistani police dude that, hey, you should not be fucking little boys. And the guy says, you know, if we don't give our guys little boys to fuck, then what are we gonna give them, their grandmas? Like, what kind? What you believe that
Hey, Stefan.
an army is only effective if it is constantly supplied with holes? And it doesn't make any sense at all. So really, I believe strategic value in keeping those
There we
people
go.
around.
I changed
Yeah.
the server location. That helped.
Okay.
Now you
Well,
sound much
there
better.
there is no strategic value in keeping those kinds of people around because they really don't know what they're doing either.
Yeah.
Generally, the shitty people are there to keep doing their shitty things, and they don't really care what happens around them. They aren't trying to improve the country. They aren't trying to protect their constituency. They're just there to fuck little boys. And that is not at all conducive to the mission that the United States is trying to accomplish.
Yeah. Best ways to be a pedophile is to be a priest or a soldier, from what I've seen.
God fucking damn it.
On the topic of priests, should we go to our next thingy?
Oh boy. Oh boy, what's our next thingy? You picking this one out?
Yes, I did.
Mm.
This is off of a local site, the Des Moines Register, which is out of Iowa. Because
this link. Okay.
give it a second to load. There's a bunch of shit all over the page. Oh god.
Tom Sandersfield Bible reader. I've read the Bible before. Does that make me a Bible reader?
I guess so, it does. But anyway, the title of this article is Bill Would Add Bible Literacy to Class in Iowa Public Schools. I have ad block on. Why are these ads coming up? Be gone, thought. Anyway, a bill introduced in the Iowa State House this week would establish a public school course centered on the Bible, sparking outcry from opponents who call this an extreme piece of legislation. If passed, Iowa would join a small but growing number of states with Bible literacy laws that allow or require public schools to offer such courses. Require schools to offer such courses? That's not really my problem with this. That being said, I think it shouldn't really, the school shouldn't be really required if they don't want to.
Yeah.
That's my kind of problem there. Supporters say that studying the Bible for its historical and cultural influences is instrumental to understanding Western civilization and the values of which America is built. Ha ha ha, that part's funny. I'm not.
Mm,
I'm not
it is.
against Western civilization. I just feel like it's a word thrown around by people who don't actually know what that kind of thing means.
They don't. Well, there's a reason why we have a history class. The Bible is or was written in a time where a civilization like we have right now would basically just be blasphemy. You know, they
Oh,
would
yeah.
be Durkas to us. They would probably go around with the sword and, you know, see some guy watching porn on his tablet and fucking cut his head off or some shit.
Well, yeah. Well, are you
You know,
teaching? Are you teaching Western civilized American history? Are you teaching feminist history? Are you teaching like white nationalist history? It's all like a
the
lot of them just don't seem to be
Bible
objective.
literacy. Yeah, well, just saying Bible literacy and not the study of religious texts.
Yeah, which I feel like
Yes.
if you just read the Bible, you are pretty lost, honestly,
Yeah,
as far
you're
as
missing out. There's a reason why there's a whole group of religions called Judeo-Christian, you know, and not, you know, I realize there's Christianity and Islam and whatnot, but a lot of those three, what is it? Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And then there's Orthodoxy, which is four. Um, there are all the Protestants, the Protestant sects, which are numerous and tiny variation. Well, no, I don't want to say tiny variations, because there's the Mormons, and then there are the Mormons that like having like 10 wives.
oh my god.
But yeah, it's this giant group, and in order to understand, it's this monolithic section of the world, you have to read, or you should read the texts, or at least um, try to discuss them all in a way that kind of connects them, because they are in a lot of ways interconnected, and this kind of class is a product of the Bible Belt. So
Is Iowa the Bible Belt though?
no, but it is a product of
Kinda
the
that
kind of
mindset.
culture. Yeah, it's from that mindset, and I guess Iowa would have like a bunch of rural communities, you know, because really it's rural communities where religion kind of prospers. You don't think of New York City being this big ass religious center, and that might be because of Protestantism in some way. I know in Mexico and whatnot, Catholicism is big in cities or whatnot. It's
Well,
just
they
it's
kinda have
just
like
kind of an
a
American thing.
they have like a extra Catholicism kind of thing.
Mm.
I also like this quote out of here: "Beyond its literacy and beyond its literary and cultural significance, which is significant, the Bible is also an essential thread of the American consciousness, and without it,
No.
American unity is unraveling."
Okay,
How do you feel about
That-
that?
that is actually a mistake. However, I will say this. I believe in cultural appropriation and cultural assimilation. That is how this country has survived taking in so many ignorance. Fuck. Immigrants.
All immigrants are
I'm gonna
retarded.
get yeah, so many immigrants.
All these ignorant immigrants, motherfucking. I hate
Bert
brown
Morty.
people.
Bert Morty.
Bert,
But
Morty,
anyway.
we need to create the White Ethno State, Morty.
Oh, God. But no, I do believe that contributed to the United States' ability to hold on to its unique culture. because not only, or when we received those people, we didn't we didn't immediately say, oh yeah, we'll accommodate you, we'll make it just like home. No, we said, this is our country. You want to come to our country, you're gonna maybe not necessarily follow these rules, but they were expected to follow the law. They were expected to, in at least society, to follow societal rules, and people had to learn that. They didn't have any sort of accommodation for their culture, so they were forced to, when they came to the United States looking for a better life, find that better life in the way that, you know, Americans envisioned it. That was how America kept the American dream going, is because
we seek change.
Yeah.
And our own kind of freedom to do whatever. And I don't think that the founding fathers weren't well read on the Bible. That's not the argument that I like to make with this. I do feel like that they were
religious,
not to say above it, but maybe a little bit more conscious of kind of objective thinking. Who the fuck?
Well, it goes along with the Enlightenment era kind of way of thinking. They started separating the cold, hard logic, almost.
Blame all of reality on coffee.
I think when they wrote, who came up with the Pledge of Allegiance? One nation under God.
Some dude in the 60s.
Yeah.
We didn't say the pledge until the beginning of the Cold War.
So then the Pledge of Allegiance...
Or maybe, I forget. Maybe the 60s thing was us putting the under God part in it. Because I remember the under God part, I read specifically that was put in so that we would seem more godly than the godless commies.
Maybe that was just a misconception that developed out of that era. There are a lot of things that come out of the Cold War era that...
Why am I receiving
really
every notification for everyone who goes live now?
Slightly.
I didn't bell no one.
Well, see, it's because you've gone live yourself.
You see, you may joke, but I feel like YouTube would actually use that as the reason.
Yeah, probably.
But anyway.
Some Iowa high schools already offer world religion courses or teach aspects of Judaism or Christianity as part of their social studies courses, which makes sense. That's part of the curriculum pretty much everywhere.
On the topic of everywhere, implementations have proven contentious. In Kentucky, for example, the ACLU is contesting courses created after a Bible literacy law passed last year. I did not know about that. Then again, I have not been in school for like 2 years now, or at least high school.
Whatever comes of it, comes of it. In the United States, I don't expect it to be this monolithic kind of thing. It's like these people are... It's interesting that the conservatives would be so uptight about what this nation was built on. We're going to go back to the roots, when in actuality, it's just pushing their own agenda, which is relatively new in the face of what the rest of American history...
We're going to go back to the roots of this nation. Let's ban all porn and legalize marijuana. I know that's a hyperbolic argument, but it's kind of true.
I don't know why the fuck not. It's
Ban
just
all
all
porn.
take a
I was
shit.
listening to a
in the
live
same
stream
bucket.
the other day. It was Andy Worski's live stream where he had on a white nationalist fascist who was talking about how he wanted to ban all alcohol and pornography, even though he himself was addicted to pornography.
Addicted?
I guess
Like
he was saying like he loves porn and he can't stop. And
Okay.
my response to him is, don't fuck other people over because of your problem, buddy. That's true with a lot of places in life.
Yeah.
Get this Harry's out of
I mean, really, that's his problem. He should probably try to deal with it himself. Or acquire assistance. That was a little bit callous.
Who cares? He won't hear this.
Nobody will hear this
Hey,
10
buddy,
years
you're a
later.
faggot.
No, like 10 years later, my employer comes on here and they're like, "Oh, let's see what this stream is." You're like, "Oh, here's this guy. You said fuck faggots."
You said black should be good. Stefan, why do you think black should be put in camps?
Because camps are fun. I go to camp every fucking month. It's great. We shoot giant guns at things, and
would the people in the camps be what you shoot at?
Yeah, sure. They can practice moving under fire. I mean, that's pretty good training. It's amazing training, actually. We could do a live fire exercise with the infantry in the field, except the infantry would be replaced with a bunch of just black dudes trolling around in their land yachts trying to get through the mud and shit that's been kicked up by artillery shells. Driving past the burnout husks of tanks we use for targets.
You fucking lad.
Driving through the hood, got a nigga in the back of my truck trying to get through this artillery strike. Motherfuckers calling in Willie Pete on our position. I can't get through this in position. Maybe you can help me out with your sniper rifle. Take out them. I don't even fucking.
That was okay. That was okay.
Yeah. Basically, I would enjoy watching a bunch of people piled in a shitty car with fucking air ride suspension and shit, cruising around the target zone. They set up the forward observer set up on this hill that can see for miles around. It's pretty fucking awesome. But you have a great view of the target area. So you just watch these guys weaving in between the little things, and they can actually give corrections. So, and that's part of what you do when you call in a fire mission. They fire one round, then you give corrections, then that calls in the actual strike. And really the reason for that is the reason for that is that you don't want to get it too close to friendlies. So like if it's too close for friendlies, you can move it. If it's too far away from the target, you can move it. But you also don't want to reveal your position, like your gun's position. Because if you fire too many times, if the enemy has counter battery radar or they've got people out in the field that can, shell crater analysis, that's inevitable. It's going to happen, but your units probably would have moved by then. So that is not as important as, trying to walk in a shell. I don't know exactly how you do it in active duty, because a lot of the training that we do at Fort Knox is definitely not something that they would do in the active duty. Yeah. Fucking we're only authorized to use Illum or HE. And those are the two shell types. And I'm pretty sure we normally just use HEPD, and that's pretty much all we can do while we're training. In the real world, you might have DPICM and all that other shit. Why did I get on this?
I don't know. I was kind of waiting for you to.
About piling all,
I was looking for a good time to stop you and tell you to go.
Time to stop.
Go find your Mother Jones article while I read this last paragraph.
You'll find my mother.
You're gonna find like a Mother Jones article.
I'm just gonna go find my mother and bring her in here.
You can do that.
We'll just bullshit. But no, I will find another article. Will it be from the Big Black Cock or the Mary Sue?
Oh, the Big Black. I meant the Mary Sue. I think Mother Jones is also.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I've read them and I forgot what kind of. I know what the Mary Sue is. Anyway, the last paragraph, referring to the classes in Kentucky. There, the ACLU says that some of the classes are going too far in teaching the Bible as a devotional study instead of an academic one. It found examples of students assigned to memorize Bible verses and the use of videos promoting Christianity, such as God's Not Dead 2.
Oh my god.
I remember we turned off God's Not Dead 2. That was we got through the first one and we couldn't take the second one.
I just want to read some of this glorious ad content that they have here. U.S. cardiologist warns, throw out your probiotics immediately.
Oh my god.
Picture of red lumps. 19 discounts seniors didn't know they could get. And it's just, is that a quarter or silver dollar? I think that's a quarter covered by rice. Just some rice grains on it. And then deploy a virtual machine almost instantly with Azure.
The what?
Deploy a virtual machine almost instantly with Azure. So are we going to be deploying fucking
Azure.
Skynet with the shit? Azure. Yes,
we are going to be, to quote the dead Kennedys, kill the poor.
We are going to be kill the poor today.
No, yeah, it's tonight.
Line them up. Line them up, my friend.
Dropping nukes on them, using Amazon, using the Amazon drones.
Yeah. Okay. So, our next article is from the Mary Sue.
All right. Slap that in chat.
And we were talking about this, I think, last night, at least a few days ago. It's about Dune.
All right,
yeah. Star Wars.
No,
it's gonna be Star Wars for.
No, you have read. You have read all of Dune, yes?
I have not read any of Dune.
Oh, you have not read any of Dune?
No.
Oh,
I'm an uncultured swine.
We might have a problem.
I have seen parts of
I have
Dune.
read basically the intro to Dune. That being said, I have seen the 1984 movie directed by David Lynch, which is bad. And I have watched the movie Jodorowsky's Dune, which is Jodorowsky's original plan to make a Dune movie back in the late 70s. And it would have, like, I can't say for certain, but it would have been Star Wars before Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah, but anyway. And I don't think that Star Wars is not for adults. That's a bad title already.
Okay, also, so we've got a picture of a
Would you mind taking a look at the author name?
Princess Wikis.
So is the Mary Sue one of the sites where you can just, like, Medium, where anyone can just post articles?
I have no idea how to operate, but it's like a feminist outlet. I mean,
It is, yeah.
I don't know. But anyway,
give the article a fair shake at least.
yes, that's why I'm going to be reading it. I wouldn't be reading it if I just looked at the Mary Sue and said, "Ew, nasty," I would not even look it up. I would just not even pay attention. Yeah, I would just X out of it and never touch it, never go there. But I will admit I did pull it up trying to see if there was some ridiculous shit. But this actually looked pretty interesting. So
yeah.
let's get into it. The article starts with a picture of a dude. He's got his nips showing.
I believe that is from the original movie.
Yeah. And in quotes, it says, "So adult, swoon."
So adult.
As if it
swoon. All right, and
I like a comma there between "so" and "adult."
There, yeah.
As if it's commanding you.
No, yeah. But anyway, we were talking the other day about Denis Villeneuve, who is the director of Blade Runner 2049, which was probably my favorite movie last year, next to a couple of Netflix documentaries. It was a fantastic movie. I loved it.
Christ, they did the original justice.
Like, did you see it?
Yes.
It is a fantastic movie. Would you agree?
Yes. I think, I kind of got. Wait. Oh no, that's an ad. Okay. I saw Lexington, Kentucky, and I was like, "Oh, is this
no? It's
really on this site? No, it's
if it's got your town name, it's an ad."
Yeah. EverQuote insurance quotes. But anyway, what were we talking about?
Dune and Star Wars and Denis Villeneuve.
Dune.
Anyway.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
2049. Yeah.
2049 was a
Fucking
beautiful, intense, like, I'd say it's the prettiest movie I've seen in a long time.
And it wasn't just good for its effects. Like Star Wars has always had good effects. Yeah, but some of the writing has just been shit.
Like
it was a good movie all over. Like all over, I could just
and this is spoilers because I don't give a fuck. In between the scene, all the scenes with him and like his, like, is she supposed to be
Joy?
Like a virtual wife? Yeah, Joy.
Yeah.
All of him with Joy.
She's an artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
I think at least to some degree.
Like her outside and when she like merged with the hooker.
Oh, that one.
That was beautiful.
That was surreal. It was fucking. And then you saw the hooker at the end though, so it comes full circle.
Yeah, that's kind of trippy. I remember that. But anyway, so yeah, we've both seen 2049, so we know at least something of this director and that he has the chops to make like amazing sci-fi. Anyway,
there is no denying that in the scope of science fiction, Dune, along with Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, is one of the most important pieces in the genre. However, the complexity and intensity of the novel also lead it to being one of the hardest books to adapt to film. Yet, director Denis Villeneuve, who has taken on the giant task of maybe finally giving us the Dune movie we deserve. I deserve a Dune movie.
I deserve a movie
on top.
I deserve film.
I deserve this art that other people make that I can't pay for out of my pocket. I deserve this. I earned this for writing this article.
I will say, if I was like a billionaire, I would absolutely give him like all the money he needed to make a Dune movie.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I were just living my life or whatever, I wouldn't give a fuck.
No, I mean, it's like, as a fan of sci-fi, it's like, if we could have a nice Dune movie, that would be or a good Dune movie, that would be
That would be
fantastic.
nice. If I had a movie, or if I had money rather to spare, then yeah, sure, I would.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Giant Task finally says he will be making Star Wars for adults. So this is, I believe he has come out and, sorry about that, I believe he has come out and said that this is the next film he wants to make.
Mm-hmm. In an interview, Villeneuve said, most of the main ideas of Star Wars are coming from Dune, so it's going to be challenging to tackle this. Of course, tackle in brackets.
I don't exactly agree. I'd say most of the ideas for Star Wars came out of samurai films and Flash Gordon. But I understand what he's talking about.
The ambition is to do the Star Wars movie I never saw. Oh, you're going to try to one-up George Lucas. Okay, I see how it is. I mean, he's already kind of done it.
So
he already did it.
There is
in a way, it's Star Wars for adults.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I popped open IMDb, and there is no actual plan for, like, there's nothing on IMDb yet. So I assume nothing's been like signed or they're actually in any kind of pre-production. But anyway,
of course they were. I really need it. I need my Sarger car, or however the fuck you.
He also directed Sicario, which is an amazing movie by itself. Sicario, Arrival. The dude has fucking chops.
God, Arrival?
Yeah, he directed Arrival.
That one, yes. The fucking squid aliens.
Mm-hmm. I saw something recently. I've been meaning to rewatch the movie because I haven't seen it since it came out. But he... I might go do that later tonight. But he was like talking about how... there's a video about like the alphabet that the squid thing uses.
Mm. Anyway. There is no denying that Star Wars took a lot of inspiration from Dune, amongst many other things Lucas pulled from in order to create his universe.
Oh, Lucas pulled a lot of things.
I push back on this idea that Dune is Star Wars for adults. Firstly, Star Wars isn't trying to be Dune. Okay, so this is not a quote, this is the author speaking.
Yeah, this is which I don't disagree with, believe it or not.
Yeah. I believe it's an apt assumption, or fucking, not assumption, but assertion, perhaps.
Yeah.
Firstly, Star Wars isn't trying to be Dune. Yes, it took a lot of inspiration from the work, but that's to be expected. Yeah, there's not a lot of focus around resources or from what I know of Dune, it's more focused on the kind of maybe some of the drama, or like there are different houses and shit, and there's like a rivalry between them, and they're all fighting over Arrakis, which is where they get their magic drug.
They're the spice, yes.
The spice. So it's like Star Wars, except Star Wars is this big grand kind of conflict of ideals, whereas Dune is, the galaxy's fucked if they fuck this.
Dune is a bit more of a proper war.
Yeah.
If you have not seen it, I would recommend the documentary of Jodorowsky's Dune that I mentioned earlier. It is a movie about Alejandro Jodorowsky, who is a darling, and I follow him on Twitter. He made The Holy Mountain, which is a beautiful movie, and El Topo, which is just weird. It's a fucking weird movie. But anyway, those are like stylistic masterpieces, both of them. And I feel like he was one of the few people who did have the chops to make that kind of movie. But he had all the actors on board. He had, like, Pink Floyd was going to do the music for the I forget the last name of the house of the main character.
Not her.
No, the Harkonnen is like the bad one.
Fucking. I'm trying to remember the other one.
Because
A starts. Does it start with an A? No, Atriox. That's Halo. It's Halo.
I haven't read Dune. I'm admitting to it, and I haven't seen the movie in forever.
Fuck.
That ain't no fucking excuse, is it?
I haven't read books. I haven't read the books, and
Atreides.
I think I saw the movie.
How you pronounce that?
Atreides. Yeah. There we go. It's Atreides.
But anyway, he had Pink Floyd on board to do the music for the House Atreides. He had I believe the band.
How would that work out?
He had the band Magma from France, I believe they are from, to do the music for the Harkonnen House, and he also had I forget the artist's name. He had a couple famous artists that all of them went on to work on Alien, and that includes H.R. Giger, who is going to do the art for the Harkonnen House.
Oh,
yeah.
Fucking that guy is fucking awesome.
Oh, he's beautiful.
But anyway, let's continue.
Yeah.
Where stop? Fucking Star Wars results. No, okay.
Inspiration. Okay, yes, they both have desert planets, but Tatooine is not as important as its narrative as Arrakis. Tatooine is just where Luke and Anakin are from. It's largely insignificant beyond that. That's a criticism I see of Star Wars by itself a lot.
It doesn't. I think that's trying to say that both of them came from nothing.
Yeah. No, it's just a simple kind of line you can draw.
And I suppose the desert planet is. I don't really like the idea. Like, there's a bunch of criticism going around about Star Wars not being able to create Earth-like planets. Which would be much like planets with.
We need planets with a biosphere. Yeah, it's the biospheres of the planets make no fucking sense at all.
It's Star Wars. Star Wars. I'll give it a break.
Which, unless it's cold and dark and like brown everywhere, your planet's probably gonna have a couple different environments.
Yeah, it might be generally warm. Then again, Earth. There was a time that Earth was,
cold
just
and dark.
Cold and dark. There was one time that it was kind of warmer than it is now. So, like, there were Arctic regions, but it was warmer. And
I feel like the forest moon of Endor would probably be a bit more than just a forest.
Yeah.
And for those kiddies at home, it's not Endor. It's the moon of Endor. Villeneuve doesn't mean anything negative in his comments. He himself is a big fan of Star Wars and would probably make an excellent director for the franchise along the line. Is that a typo? Oh no.
Alond. Yes, that is the typo.
Good job.
It says Alond.
Good job, author. This was published.
That is a pretty good name.
This was published a few hours ago, so I'll give them a chance. But no, he wouldn't, because he would actually take creative liberties, and Disney would punish him. I did hear that Rian Johnson got an interesting amount of script freedom over The Last Jedi, though, so maybe. I don't know.
I kind of wish they just kept the same director. If they just kept J.J. Abrams from the beginning, it would have been all right.
The only movie I really like by him is Super 8. And
he's an all right director.
He's fine. He's just kind of Spielberg light.
But they gave it to him in the beginning, and then they gave it to Ryan, and Ryan kind of took.
Ryan made some interesting leaps.
And screwed with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't care what he did with the Force. I do feel like some of the characters, or not the characters, the plot in general needed a lot of fucking work. Like, it needed a couple more drafts.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, especially since they're doing standalone films. However, it reminds me of the type of comic book guy who watches Watchmen, The Dark Knight Rises, and finds regular comic books to be too childish. Cough, Zack Snyder, cough. Um, if you put me and Zack Snyder in a chair in like a cage match, he would be pulp. Because I would kill him.
Zack Snyder.
Yes,
Who
I
the
wish
fuck
no.
is Zack Snyder?
He directed Man of Steel, and he directed
that
Man
one.
of Steel and the whatever the Batman v Superman and the Justice whatever, and he is not good. Like he made 300, and 300 is not a great movie.
Oh, that one, the meme movie. It's basically just a giant meme.
It is a meme factory nowadays. Both things can be good. Plus, we need to discuss what he means by adult, because sex and violence don't make anything adult, and the idea that maturity is wrapped up in those things is frustrating.
Well, that's the rating. That's not necessarily the maturity of the content itself.
I guess, but I believe both The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi are PG-13.
Yeah, that doesn't mean they're adult. So. Like they don't deal the Force Awakens and The Last
PG-13, Last Jedi, PG or PG-13
don't deal with things that are like existentially as deep as some of the more adult kind of franchises would.
Well, it's like I would happily sit my kid down, my like 10-year-old in front of The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi, because they might enjoy it. I'd sit them in front of all the Star Wars movies, except maybe not show them episode 1 or 2, and just like show them the cartoons and then episode 3.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I'd let my kid watch all the movies. I would also, if my 11-year-old or 12-year-old asked for a copy of Dune, I'd be like, here, have it.
Why not?
They might not understand it.
It's not, as a parent, I feel like it's not your place to limit your child.
You are not a parent, though.
Well, yeah, but like if I were to have a child, it's not your place to say, okay, well, you can't understand this, so I'm not.
This book is forbidden.
Yeah, this book, because you wouldn't be able to understand this. This is breaking. Oh no, I'll give it to you. You can read it. You can ask questions. Maybe we'll have a discussion. Maybe you'll come out understanding something that you did not before. Gay. And then later on in your life, you can look back on that experience and say, "Oh, I learned I was gay from that book." Okay. It comes full circle. You make the joke, I have to roll with it.
Goddamn.
Okay. Plus we need, guess what we mean by adult, because sex and violence, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating. Even just looking at the most recent Star Wars The Last Jedi, film talks about child slavery. It includes it, but it doesn't really have any sort of conversation.
It more than the framing of like these people are fucked up, and also that whole casino scene. Just evacuate it from the movie.
Yeah, it was kind of dumb. Military-industrial complexes.
Did you watch The Last Jedi?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was a yo-ho-ho on that one. But anyway, military-industrial complexes. There was a bit more commentary on that, but it didn't really focus around it. It wasn't a big thing. These aren't really complex topics, though. At least for The Last Jedi, they just mention it. Like they're like, these people are shitty. Let's make them sound shitty, you know. So anyway,
I apologize for anyone who's about to hear the garage. Anyway,
the garage is a beautiful thing. Please hear it. Let it associate.
The garage is awful.
Oh, let the garage come inside.
Oh no.
I'm gonna have garage babies. And anyway.
Talks about anti-industrial and the endless fatigue of war. Loss of faith.
Loss of faith. What? And a whole lot of murder in the name of a cause. That is, at best, an abstract notion that hasn't existed in generations. That's not kid stuff. Yes, there are porgs, cute animals, and a lot of just big budget special effects
You leave
and
the
universal
porgs alone.
themes that make porgs that make it applicable to children, but that doesn't mean it isn't good or doesn't have an emotional maturity that resonates with adults. Both stories can exist without having one to be more mature or adult. I'm not sure if that's grammatically correct, but it's all right. It's kind of on the borderline. Anyway, than the other. Because if you made Dune into a Star Wars movie, it would be bad, and vice versa. You need both, but they can be enjoyed equally and for different reasons. Don't turn this into a Harry Potter versus Lord of the Rings versus the Chronicles of Narnia situation, because we don't need nor deserve that.
Okay. That's an interesting topic. I've seen people discuss that. I've never actually given it much thought, but
No.
people have talked about the idea that the Lord of the Rings movie happened because of the Harry Potter success. And then the Chronicles of Narnia were just directly tied to that too.
I mean,
The Chronicles of
does it
Narnia.
matter?
I'm not gonna lie. As far as the Chronicles of Narnia, I feel like that adaptation was probably the weakest out of the three listed right there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Harry Potter needs to be taken, like, give it another, like, 10 years, and then remake all 7 books into, like, a 3-part movie. That'd be good.
That would be difficult, I think, for a 3-part movie.
Well, there's just too much movie in the Harry Potter trilogy. Or, trilogy saga. What, like, fucking 8
Saga.
movies?
Well, yeah, but think about how much happens in the books.
Nothing that you couldn't condense down each one into maybe about, like, an hour.
Yeah, 10 minutes. Yeah, 10 minutes per book. It's all right.
No, Jesus Christ, no. Like an hour maybe per book.
It's just
Do
somebody
that.
reading
Make
the
it like the
Cliff
Lord of the Rings. That'd be nice. Well, the Lord of the Rings was like originally it was going to be one book, and then the publishing company told Tolkien to fuck off.
Yeah, but see, Lord of the Rings was 3 books.
Well, it's intended to be one book.
Well, yeah, but it was 3 books. It was 3 separate things. So having what they had, 3 movies.
Yeah.
So it made sense. Like the books and the movies matched up. The Harry Potter movies did the same thing almost. Almost. Because there are more Harry Potter books.
They split the last one in half just for money.
Yeah. Yeah, that one.
Way too much there.
But there are more Harry Potter books than there are in Lord of the Rings. I could see maybe like a 4-part kind of series. But anyway, let's continue. Now, what Dune has always had over Star Wars films is a lot of amazing dynamic female characters. Fuck! From the Bene Gesserit.
Of course, we had to get there. We had to get there, didn't we?
Yeah. Oh, boy. Of mystical women who are one of the main social and political powers in the galaxy, to Paul's mother, Lady Jessica, an ambitious, highly powerful political figure, and younger sister, Alia Atreides. Whatever. Who becomes one of the most powerful and feared people on Arrakis. Plus, unlike Star Wars, there are much more on-the-nose racial elements in Dune. With the Freeman and all of the Islamic/Muslim influences surrounding that culture.
I will give them that. They do talk about like the idea of the internal jihad a lot in Dune, which is completely different from the fucking me declaring a meme jihad on someone, because jihad means struggle, and the higher jihad is like the internal one of like the struggle of being a good person and being like well, I guess more like pure would be part of that for Islam, but
Yeah. It will be interesting how the film chooses to incorporate concepts of jihad that
Yeah,
are
there
the
you go.
very key of the book's mythology. Either way, I want to enjoy the idea. I want to enjoy the idea of seeing Dune finally done justice, especially Jessica and Alia. Please, or just please don't make the voice sound weird.
Via slash film. What is? Did they just rip this article from another site? Oh, they absolutely did. No,
Oh
they
my
didn't. No,
God.
they didn't. They did rip the title.
Okay.
I think they took a few things from it, actually. That would have
Villeneuve
been.
was right on the money. Star Wars synthesizing elements from Dune and Flash Gordon and Akira Kurosawa. The desert planet, the latent mystical power is the real. That's not the same.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I
the
mean, they're
same.
similar articles, but it's not the same. So, besides, gotta get my women representation, guys.
I'd like to mention that at the bottom here, the Mary Sue has a strict comment policy that forbids, but is not limited to, personal insults towards anyone, hate speech, and trolling. Let me see if I can post a comment on the Mary Sue.
Join the discussion. Join the discussion about gay people, guys. There's a guy named Dragon in the comments. Fiery little one.
I hate all women because I can't spell tonight.
Earth. There's a guy named Earth. I'm sure Villeneuve will do a great job with it. I've loved all of his science fiction so far. He seems to be a thoughtful director, so I have high hopes that his Dune movie won't just be derivative of Star Wars. Like how, Star Wars is derivative of Dune. There are certain adult things that Star Wars just doesn't cover. Well, if they kept the Legends universe, then maybe it would.
I love
Sex and gender politics come to mind, and considering... Oh.
I love people who...
I'm just gonna
I love people who comment, "Good luck, sir, you'll need it," because Denis Villeneuve is gonna read a Mary Sue article.
Also, looking forward to alt-right morons calling the film feminist propaganda and saying that Paul is a mollycoddled mother's boy. But
oh, all right,
I mean,
all right. The only enemy that we need to have.
Two new comments above. Where are the fucking comments? I need to reload this and scroll down. Did you make your comment?
No. Sign me up for the giant uncircumcised space penis movie. Can John Arowski still be hired as a cinematographer at least? Yes, please. Can I see downvoted comments? I want to see what the Mary Sue would downvote. I can't. It doesn't seem to be sorted by oldest. Let's see. Newest. Let's see. Maybe we got some trash here. Dumb down all the ideas from Blake. Dumb down. Ooh boy.
A boy.
Given how Villeneuve dumbed down all the ideas from the Blade Runner, I'm deeply skeptical. Oh yeah, go to newest. Newest second comment.
Okay. All right. I want to fucking slap a nigga right now.
What you? Oh come on. I love this. I know it's just some fucking comment, but like, you gotta back up that shit a little bit, boy. Because that's like.
I think Game of Thrones in space is a better modern parallel to draw.
People before.
Our main characters dying every time you turn.
Before
like
Villeneuve
15 degrees.
came out and said that he wanted to make Dune as a movie, people did say that Dune would make a fantastic HBO like a mini series or something, and I think it probably would. Even still, it probably would, like a Westworldy kind of thing. When is Westworld season 2?
Oh,
What?
oh,
What and where?
I need it.
Oh yeah.
I need it. Give it to my asshole, daddy.
Anyway,
Supply it to me.
Do you have a fan fiction that you would like to supply us with?
Oh, it's fan fiction time.
It is fan fiction time whenever you want it to be, my boy.
Okay. So, I could get fan fiction, or we could go on to SoFurry and read.
No, it can be bad. It can be good. Hopefully, it's bad. I want it to be bad.
All right. Let's see.
Please deliver the trash.
I have 24 stories in my heresy list.
Heresy.
Yes, I have 2 levels of shit. Oh, actually, no, I have 3. I have the pure, unadulterated, stupid bookshelf, where I put all the clop that's just for fucking
Oh
sex.
God!
Just the porn, the straight porn shit, and shit that's not. It's dumb, but it's not. It's not anger inducing. And then there's heresy. The description of this is things that are one step below intolerable. The shittiest of the shitty goes here. And then there is mistakes. And it's basically they allow you to give or to utilize these emojis as pictures for your lists. And they're characters from the show. It's basically line art, but it's the line art of the characters from the show doing meme faces. And it's one of the small children just dying inside.
Okay.
And I reserve the mistakes for things that I post that I would not have posted unless somebody beat me into posting them. I've only done one of those things. Actually, I can read that to you.
Let's not do
I
that.
can read one of my masterpieces.
I'm curious, and we don't have to do this right now, but I would like to at some point. You ever read Sonic High School?
No.
Okay, let's not get into that right now. Okay. No, just give me some word trash. Preferably not too long. Like, I don't really care. I just don't want us to be here for like another 4 hours or something.
Okay. Finding warmth in all the cold places. Wait, what? Wait, oh no, that's the one with the Yetis.
The Yeti?
They all just, like, she's stuck in this cold ass place, and then the Yetis come and just knock on the glass of it, and their dicks are that one. God, that's 7,000 words.
Do you want to do it?
I mean, I can read it. You want to do it?
Send me a link.
You want to jump into this portal?
Send me a link, my Negro.
All right, Negron.
It's all in your imagination, Negro.
You know we're gonna get fucking destroyed for saying that.
I don't care.
Our assholes will be reamed.
Hey, everything I say is a joke. Just imagine.
Let it. This is none.
Imagine. Take all the serious shit I've said tonight and throw it in the dumpster. Story has been marked as having adult content.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna read the full description of this story. Finding warmth in all the cold places. Written for the second annual Bat Pony and Thestrals riding competition.
Should I be on day 27 for this?
That's the first chapter, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is this trash?
That's my answer.
Yes.
Take it how you will. I gave you my answer.
Okay.
Apparently it's fucking hilarious. Because I put it in distilled hilarity. But
okay. Okay.
they told her it was a promotion when they sent her out there. But Blue Moon knew better. Stuck in a watchtower in the middle of the frozen north, the Bat Pony knew that this was a punishment, not a reward.
Bat Pony.
Yes.
Now I have fiction in my fucking browsing history. Thanks for that, queer.
Just fucking clear it, you chungus.
Fine.
Even the reason they sent her out there was a load of horse apples. Watch for an entire lost empire made of crystals to appear out of thin air. That actually happens in the series. Don't make her laugh.
Where's this description?
If you click on the title of the story, it'll open up. But I'm just gonna read it before I start reading the actual story. Okay, had to lay down that fart first. Regardless, or don't make her laugh. Regardless, she's now stuck in the frozen wasteland for the foreseeable future. By Luna's teats, it's cold up there. She's gonna need to find a way to keep warm before she freezes to death. Good thing some of the local wildlife are more than happy. Oblige. For the love of the moon, why do we still not have a Bat Pony character tag Jesus?
There's an audio reading by Scarlet Blade.
Oh! Check that out later. But this is my audio reading. Guys.
This is my audio reading of Finding Warmth in All the Cold Places, or To Come in a Blue Moon.
To Come in a Blue Moon. Oh no! I've made a huge mistake. Our mistakes have been huge.
It's a load of rotten mangoes, Blue Moon grumbled under her breath. You are not being punished, Bluey. The guard needs someone up there, and you're the perfect mare for the job. This isn't a demotion, it's a promotion. Promotion my frozen flank. How stupid do they think I am? Muttering and growling, she pulled the blankets tighter around her body, trying to keep in as much heat as possible. Outside, the blizzard continued unabated. It had been raging for 2 weeks now, yet showed no signs of stopping. Of course, that was just the norm up in the frozen north. Blue Moon had been stationed there for almost a month, and so far that was the only thing she had seen. Snow, snow, and more snow. It had been snowing nearly non-stop since she arrived. The only reason she wasn't worried about getting snowed in was that the outpost she was in was a tower-like structure, standing over 100 feet high. It had 2 entrances, one at ground level, which was currently inaccessible due to the snow drifts, and one on the roof, which, seeing as she was a bat pony and thus had wings, was the one she used.
That's the worst interjection ever.
The living quarters were in the upper part of the tower, and were made up of one large circular room. Windows ran all around the circumference of the room, allowing Blue Moon an uninterrupted view of the massive field of snow around her. That's all. That's part of the story. That was written in there, I swear. Just in between that. Yeah. Delete. Fetus deletus.
Oh no.
That's all there was too. Snow. And a few mountains in the background, but those were only visible if it wasn't snowing, which it never was. Then how did she know they were there? Just like, does she have a map? I assume so, maybe? That would be a shitty map. Anyway, other than looking out the windows, there wasn't much else to do. The place was stocked fairly well. Blue Moon wouldn't need to worry about supplies for at least a few more months. There were some bookshelves, but she had never been big on reading. So why couldn't she do it? Okay. So, much to her annoyance, Blue was forced to sit on the couch in the center of the room and watch the falling snow all day. It was also cold inside the watchtower, not as bad as it was outside. In fact, any other pony would have been fine. For Bat Pony, however, and their bare, leathery wings, it was very uncomfortable. This is why Blue Moon was currently buried under several layers of blankets.
This is already gay and I want to die.
And yet, she was still cold. Her wings felt like sheets of ice. There were, of course, specially designed wing covers she could buy to help her wings warm. Or to help keep her wings warm. Fuck. She had almost picked up some at the supply store when she first arrived, but upon catching sight of what they looked like, she balked at the idea. The wing covers look like giant fuzzy mittens. You're gonna be by yourself for a few months. Why do you care what you look like? Anyway, the mayor behind the counter had said that they'd make Blue look absolutely adorable. The mayor behind the counter was clearly not familiar with Bat Pony pride. She refused to buy the covers. She wouldn't give her higher-ups the satisfaction of humiliating her further. I swear, sleep with one stallion and every pony acts like you killed some pony. Blue Moon huffed.
Okay.
How was I supposed to know? The captain had a crush on him. Besides, she didn't need to get so butthurt about it. It was only a one-night stand. She shifted around in the blankets, only to wince as her flank touched a wet spot. She blushed, her ears playing backwards. Cold wasn't the only problem she had at the moment. Blue Moon had gone into heat earlier in the week.
Hey,
see,
Stefan.
that's the thing.
Hey, Stefan.
There's a really good reason civilization exists that does actually have to do with sex, is because humans have a thing called concealed ovulation. It means they don't lose their minds when females are doing their egg thing.
Hey,
it also means periods.
Yeah, I couldn't find the gun. Tragically.
That's because you gave it to Philip. You should just go to Philip. He's got plenty of guns, man. You can come over to my house. I can pick you up and drive you over here, and we can read this together and then shoot it. Suicide pact.
For context, if anyone who might still be listening to this who haven't tortured away, I have watched 2 episodes of the My Little Pony show to see if I like it. I didn't. Too much, at least.
Which one? Too much. Oh, he did like it. Ooh. Which was your favorite child?
I don't know. I watched the first 2, and
they're all autistic. You pick one. You pick your kin.
Can I pick the gun that I'm going to be shot with?
That is not a child of our show. Nor does it have autism. It is not capable of this.
Can I pick Eduardo from Foster's Home?
That is not from the show. Which child do you enjoy
I gotta
the
go
most
get some water
in bed? I should probably go get some water too.
Okay, yeah, actual break time.
Fucking.
I'll be back in like.
Ah.
Dead air. Dead air is great. did here. Hello. Oh dear. He's not back yet. All hope is lost. Let's just get a little bit of music playing just for our own entertainment.
I required a cold phallic object which to lick on. Let me deep throat it quick for you.
These are good sounds. Anyway, continue reading your Satanist your Satanist papers.
Well,
cease your faggotry.
it's in my blood. I can't help it. Anyway, got any heat? It was a bad combination, to be sure. Stuck in a one-room living space with nothing to do, alone and in heat. He was going stir-crazy. Blue Moon was slowly losing her mind. The only thing that kept her sane was the fact that she had to go outside once a day to a small cage-like structure, ironically called the cage, in a hollow a few meters from the tower.
You could just say the cage. You didn't have to fucking make a thing about the name of it.
Yeah, I know. This is an important part of the story, though, because she actually goes there. She could have just said the cage and then gone there and then described it, but nope, didn't do it. Didn't take the opportunity. You fucked up.
As if you couldn't just go outside to it, knowing it's called the cage, and just say, "Hey, it's like just as big as her, like double size or whatever." Mm-hmm. Although I don't know how big a bat pony is, so like.
Ponies are like 3 to 4 feet tall.
Is that how big they are in the fucking gay show?
Yeah. This is essentially it's a fan fiction of the gay show, so they're about that size.
Okay.
Anyway.
Right after the cage.
The cage in a hollow a few meters from the tower, where she had to observe and record the readings on several different gauges. What she was watching for, she had no idea, because when she asked Princess Luna, cause with no B or apostrophe there to indicate the absence of the B. I just had to take a look at
cows. Oh God. Oh.
Because when she asked Princess Luna, she had gotten a horse apple answer. Y'all on watch for any strange niggas. magical shit. Like an entire empire made of crystal and shit coming out of ground in thin air, snow ground shit. They didn't want to tell her the truth.
No,
that's
not
fine.
the voice. That's not the voice. That's the actual story. Or are you just rolling with that?
I was rolling with it.
Oh, I apologize. Continue.
I was rolling with it for a little bit. I was gonna switch probably at the end of the paragraph.
I apologize.
They didn't want to tell her the truth. That was fine, but they didn't need to make up stories like that. Fuck them niggas. Blue Moon shifted about again, trying to find a more comfortable position. With the fire currently between her legs, though, that was an impossible thing. I'm just imagining she's got a fire, an actual fire between.
Now,
like an acetylene torch.
To make this topical, I do have some Tide Pods if need be. So I can just end my life.
I need to wash my soul. Dear Father who art in heaven, we eat these Tide Pods to clear our soul. Giving up on getting comfortable, she glanced over at the clock on the wall. Upon seeing that it was almost time for her daily check of the gauges, she sighed heavily. Well, on the bright side, a trip outside should help cool my heat, she grumbled, even if I do freeze to death in the process. Reluctantly, God, hallelujah. She threw back the blankets. Immediately, a wave of cool air washed over her body. At the same time, an overpowering scent of fertility and desire slammed into her nostrils, all the pheromones that had been trapped within the folds of the blankets escaping at once. Blue Moon's blush darkened even as she became lightheaded. Probably to help blow the stink off me as well, she said dazedly.
Why are we describing
staggering to her hooves? Because people like it's a fetish. It's the musk fetish is the thing.
I need alcohol for this.
Why didn't you get it?
Because I don't have any.
You knew what we were doing.
I didn't. I'm sorry, Daddy. Fuck.
I enjoy the for people like you.
I didn't join Mensa to deal with people like you. I'm gonna start using fucking Mensa-related insults. I am no part of Mensa. Anyway, continue this, please.
Last morsel. Oh, he wants it now.
No, I just want to get it over with.
He wants it. He wants it. He needs it. Well, I'm gonna give it to you. You like it? Bend over.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
Fuck. Okay. Did I scroll up accidentally? Okay, no, I didn't. Well, on the bright side, a trip outside should help to cool my heat, blah, blah, blah. Blow the stink off me. Staggering to her hooves, she stumbled her way over toward a group of lockers near the main hatch entrance. Unceremoniously throwing one upon... What is that?
I think it's supposed to be open.
Upon. She threw it upon her wet crotch.
Oh fuck!
In an effort to stop it. That's what women do when they're on the period. They just slam things on their crotch to stop it from bleeding. Baseball bat.
Oh fuck! Oh, that's bad. Jesus Christ.
This is essentially a period, except instead of getting bitchy, they get horny. That's what it is. Anyway, she began to don the winter gear within. The gear was bulky and white, with black faux fur in the hood and sleeves. Like, in the sleeves? She's already got fur. Okay. 4 long snow boots were present as well, the tops of which reached her upper thighs. Wait, do horses even have a thigh?
Just roll with it, man.
I keep fucking...
Just roll with it, man.
As Blue Moon pulled the gear on, she made sure to keep her wings tucked inside the coat, buckling herself up. Buckle up, kiddos! She took a moment.
Buttercup.
You're about to go for a ride. She took a moment to glance at her reflection in the mirror that was taped to the inside of the locker's door. The face that stared back at her was not a relaxed one. Her light gray coat was a darker shade than normal at the moment, due to how much her estrus was making her sweat. There were bags under her bright blue eyes, although they were more from stress than from lack of sleep. Her short cyan mane was in a tangled mess, but she refused to do anything with it, seeing as the wind outside would just mess it up again. Giving her disheveled appearance one last look, Blue Moon slipped on a pair of tinted goggles, pulled her hood up over her head, and closed the locker. With that, she turned and proceeded through the exit to the outside. There's a page break. The wind tore at Blue Moon's mane as she emerged from the hatchway. The snow was coming down sideways, and it was nearly blinding. If it wasn't for her goggles, she probably wouldn't or would be unable to see anything but her muzzle in front of her. But that's an awkward sentence. Quickly closing the hatch, she braced herself before slowly making her way across the roof to a ladder that ran down the side of the tower. Normally, she'd just fly to the ground, but with the wind as strong as it was, that wasn't going to happen. Plus, there was no way she was exposing her wings to the cold. The journey down the ladder was slow, as Blue Moon made sure she had a secure grip on each rung before descending further. The last thing she wanted was to be pulled off the tower by a rogue gust of wind. Even when she was safely on the hardened snow that made up the ground, she couldn't relax, having to lean into the wind to stop herself from toppling over. Fighting each step of the way, the Bat Pony made her way across the snowfield towards the cage. Luckily, the journey got easier as she got closer. The small building sat in a hollow basin, and as such, the snowdrifts hadn't piled up around it yet. Reaching the iron door, Blue Moon forced her way inside before slamming the door shut behind her. Instantly, the wind died, and the cold got a little more bearable. The cage was a small structure, only 5 feet high, 5 feet wide, and 5 feet tall. 125 cubic feet of space.
Because that's important.
Apparently. The walls were made of tinted plexiglass, with a gap that ran around the cage at roughly chest height. The interior was bare, save for the gauges she was supposed to read. They rested along the right-hand wall on a small circuit breaker-looking box. A small enchanted gem rested in the ceiling, radiating a small amount of heat. Not enough to be comfortable, but just enough that Blue wasn't freezing her teats off while she was conducting her business. Who is this?
That he's
What
back.
the fuck are you doing?
We're reading fan fiction. What do you think?
Wonderful. What kind of fan fiction?
Hellish fan fiction.
To come, or
The best
to
kind.
come in a blue moon or something like that.
Yeah, my internet went out earlier on
Oh,
as
fuck
far
that.
as my modem. I took that as a sign from Vishnu to just go the fuck to sleep.
Which you have not done, clearly.
Nope. So I thought I'd see what you fucks were up to. You still streaming?
Yes.
Yes.
Get any viewers?
Huh.
Ah.
One.
Duh.
Nobody's in chat. I don't really care.
Okay.
I'm just
Anyway.
enjoying
Continue.
Stefan reading. Enjoying in the largest quotation marks available in Word.
Yep.
Good.
I'm going to be playing the kind of point and click flash game that requires an entire composition notebook to be able to finish.
Sounds fun.
Should
Giving
be.
her
I don't have a composition notebook though.
Giving herself a shake to dislodge the snow that had accompanied her in, Blue Moon made her way over to the gauges. She peered closely at the dials before marking the readings down on a small notebook hanging next to the gauges box.
No major change in the readings,
She muttered as she wrote.
slight increase to the latent arcane field, but nothing to suggest outside influence.
The ley lines appear to be normal as well, although I can't really tell because I'm not a bucking unicorn. This is a load of rotten mangoes, Blue shouted as she threw the pencil against the wall, sending it clattering against the floor.
Okay.
Her face contorted in both annoyance and pleasure as she felt herself wink against the fabric of her of the winter gear. Should I tell you what winking is, or do you care?
I don't care.
I don't give a fuck.
Okay. Sitting down and trying to ignore the further stroking of the suit. Well, this might actually be important to this scene, but
Jesus
it's
Christ.
not important to the story, to understanding what's happening. She's basically masturbating on this jacket that she's wearing.
Okay. Thanks.
Anyway, Blue Moon rubbed at her eyes.
This fucking heat.
Do they say bucking
muttered
in the
under her
show?
breath. No.
Okay. I thought I'd ask.
A lot of this shit's just
Entirely exists in the
Fan
fan fiction
creation.
realm.
yeah, like plot as a semi epithet for ass or butt, like a replacement for that, is a fan construction. It never appeared in the show.
Okay,
So, yeah.
continue from the gay replacement words.
This fucking heat.
She muttered under her breath.
Why is it so bad? That's right, I'm gonna go mad before the week is out. I need some way of taking care of it. That's not my hoof.
Oh my
A
god.
stallion, a toy, anything.
Jesus Christ.
Pulling her head back, she threw her hooves up and stared at the ceiling.
You hear that, Luna? Anything. Anything to take care of this motherfucking heat.
She was silent for several seconds, but no answer came.
Figures. When I need you, you aren't there.
She trailed off, staring wide-eyed at the thing currently standing outside of the cage. Standing on its hind legs, the creature was almost as tall as the cage. Its body was covered in a thick, shaggy coat of white hair, though there was a crest of black fur on top of its head. It had long arms which hung down too nearly the ground, and each appendage ended in 4 stubby fingers. 3 beady eyes stared at her through the tinted glass, a look of curiosity in them. Blue Moon stared back up at it, her mouth agape.
A Yeti?
Oh
Yeah,
no.
She breathed.
Oh
A
Jesus
Yeti?
Christ.
Out here? Where the fuck did you come from? Her voice rose slightly as she addressed the creature.
I've been out here for a month and haven't seen any other forms of life. Where have you been hiding? The Yeti said nothing, but reached one of its long arms up and tapped on the cage curiously. Blue wasn't too worried about it, though. While it was true they looked intimidating, Yetis were generally gentle creatures due to the rare moments that they came in contact with ponies. Placing its paws on top of the cage, the Yeti began to shuffle around the structure slowly, examining it. Blue Moon watched it, a small smile touching her lips at its inquisitive behavior. The Yeti suddenly leaned against the cage, and a flash of red caught Blue's attention. She glanced down, only for her eyes to widen and her smile to vanish. The Yeti's hips were at the same height as the gape that ran around the cage. I'd kid you not, that's how it's written. And as such, when it pushed up against the plexiglass, Blue got a good look at the creature's crotch. It became rather apparent that it was, in fact, a male Yeti. Blue stared at the tip of red flesh that was poking through the white fur, her mind racing. When she had asked Luna for a way to cool her heat, this wasn't exactly what she had in mind. On the other hoof, though, she needed the relief, and she
On the
needed it
other hoof.
now.
Mm.
Am I really gonna do this? She thought. I mean, it is a male, but it's not exactly a stallion either. Chewing on her bottom lip, she continued to stare at the teasing piece of flesh, even as the Yeti shambled around the cage. I can't actually be considering this, Blue muttered, shaking her head. I mean, it's a wild animal, and her clit winked again, pushing against the rough fabric and
fucking
sending an
Christ.
electric shock down her spine. And I am done talking about this. Come here, you! She growled, starting towards the creature. Yeti paused as it watched her approach, its head tilting slightly in confusion. Since it still had its midsection pressed against the plexiglass, it was very easy for Blue to reach up a hoof and begin to feel around through its thick fur. This in turn caused the Yeti to let out a startled grunt, and it immediately started to back away. "Oh, no you don't," Blue growled, latching onto the Yeti's fur. Few more seconds of rummaging, and her hoof bumped into a pair of warm testicles. "Yes, come to Mom."
Oh, fuck, man.
That was easy.
Oh my
that goes.
god.
I had to smack like 3 times.
What have you done to me, Stefan?
I ain't done shit.
I
Let
am.
me hit it again just to make sure
I'm
that the
not
scene
even.
still works.
I'm not even like.
Okay, good, it works.
I'm not even like angry. I'm more like
Fucking battery, it's
repulsed.
like,
That was easy.
Stop. Cease.
That was easy.
Cease
Leaning
your
forward.
faggotry.
She pressed.
sorry, just making sure that the batteries were all the way in.
Granted, this character has already shown that she's basically a slut. So,
I mean,
or a horse, as is the replacement word in this, in many universes. But anyway, yes, come to Mama. Leaning
Oh,
forward, she
man.
pressed her muzzle against the ball sack and inhaled deeply.
fucking god.
A thick,
my God.
musky scent invaded her nostrils, and she felt her legs go weak. Oh, that's the good stuff.
What the fucking
At the
shit?
sudden, unexpected contact, the Yeti froze. No
Oh,
longer trying to get away, it leaned against the plexiglass, which in turn gave Blue Moon more room to work with. Cupping one of the grapefruit-sized balls in a hoof, Blue licked her lips before leaning forward and giving the hairless skin a long, slow lick.
what the fuck?
The the taste caused.
Like, rub my
Why
eyes.
though?
Now I know why I put it in distilled hilarity. This is fucking
Oh no.
The taste caused her to shiver, and she felt her marehood quiver in excitement.
Oh no.
She swirled her tongue around the orb once before shifting over to the other testicle.
This was going fine. This was
Popping
going
it in
fine.
her mouth as best she could, she suckled on the flesh. This caused the Yeti to groan, and it thrust its hips against the plexiglass. Harder. Something warm and fleshy bounced off Blue's forehead, and it was a bullet. Pulling back, she found herself face to face with the giant. Oh, it's not a bullet. Penis. Or rather, 2 penises. Blue stared at the twin spires of flesh in awe. Sweet Luna, you have 2? But I thought that dragons were the only. Trailing off, she swallowed the buildup of saliva in her mouth before beginning to examine the members. The members of
Members
the
of the
Rotary
band.
Club. The members of the band. You
Each-
got 1, 2, 3, 4.
You got
Drummer, guitar, bass, extra
the 2 penises.
semen.
The 2 penises are John and Paul. The testicles are George and Ringo.
The shafts were both a good 8 inches in length, leading up to a bulbous head. The flesh was dark red with purple veins running across the surface. Tiny spines covered the lower halves, but
Very
on
important
brushing them
information.
with her hoof,
Oh,
Blue
cool.
Moon
Someone
found that they were
is
spongy
masturbating
texture.
to this.
and gave rather easily, darting back and forth between the 2 shafts. Blue Moon swallowed thickly, before leaning forward and dragging her tongue up the left one. Much like the testicles, the taste was strong, and Blue felt her mind go hazy at the musky flavor. Giving it another lick, she began to lap at the tip, all the while stroking the other member with a hoof. The Yeti groaned again, clinging to the edge of the cage as it thrust its hips. Blue smiled to herself. She continued to assault the left member's head with licks and suckles.
With her right hoof occupied with the hoof job, she used her left one to unzip her coat. That complete, she kicked off her snow boot, only one, tossing it to the side. Reaching in the suit, she pushed her hoof down between her legs. The suit's interior was soaked with her juices. Her heated scent wafted up from the opening. God, that's gotta smell like ripe ass.
That's fucking repulsive.
Oh, it's gotta smell like ripe ass. Well, in some of these fics, they taste like berries or something. So
Oh, Jesus Christ.
they taste and smell like berries, like their sweat does in
Why?
the steam or whatever. I don't know. That's other fics, not this one.
Okay.
Beginning to ground her hoof. I'm imagining her taking a cable, shoving it through her hoof, and then just like nailing a stake to the ground and wrapping the cable around the other end. Beginning to ground, or no, taking the stake and shoving it up into her fucking cunt. Any electrocution will go through her cunt first. But anyway, beginning to ground her hoof into her sopping marehood. She took a deep breath before wrapping her lips around the tip of the member. Slowly, she pushed herself down the length, taking the shaft into her mouth inch by inch. The bulbous head slid against her tongue as she sucked, filling her mouth with its musky flavor. Is that anything like Jack Winks?
Oh my fucking god. Why have you done this?
When it reached the back of her throat, she paused for a second before pulling back until just the tip remained. She then began to bob her head, jerking off the other member with one hoof, and furiously clopping herself with the other.
Wait. How do you jerk someone off with a hoof?
Yeah, that's a valid question.
You kind of okay, so there are various ways of dealing with this, but most fics, ponies have this weird. It's either like a suction cup kind of thing, or it's magic based. Like it's like a hand, because they're capable of picking things up in the show with their hooves. So it's maybe they can exert some sort of pressure using like a thumb on the bottom.
Slams it on the ground and rubs it.
She's probably just taking her hoof and rubbing it, taking the frog, which is actually pretty.
Stepping on his dick.
Well, like pawing at it, maybe. The show ponies are also more flexible.
Hey Brandon, I'm just making sure. Did you catch the part where this is a Yeti?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
Dude, that's like the least weird thing about this right now.
I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure. That's all I.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I mean, she already fucked some other female's boyfriend.
Boyfriend.
God damn it.
We're never gonna get through this, are we?
Wonderful. Okay. This continued for about a minute. Blue Moon could feel a familiar, wonderful pressure building between her legs. She worked her hoof against her clit. The Yeti grunted and groaned, trying desperately to thrust its member deeper into the bat pony's maw. With almost no warning, the bulbous head began to swell slightly. Eyes widening in realization, Blue gave the member in her mouth one last hard suck before pulling herself off of it, maneuvering the twin shafts about. With just her right hoof, she managed to get both heads in her mouth at once. Her tongue swirled around
the
licking tips as she worked herself over harder. The Yeti gave one final hump before throwing its head back and letting out a howl. The twin heads twitched before unleashing a torrent of cum into Blue's waiting maw. It had an earthly, almost almond taste to it.
What the fuck?
Did it come with the cyanide? Okay. And Blue gulped down the thick liquid as
cyanide,
best she
please.
could.
Yes, please. No.
But okay.
let's get to the good part. Let's reiterate this. And Blue gulped down the thick liquid as best she could, but the volume was more than she had been expecting. Her cheeks swelled with the Yeti's hot essence until it trickled out around the edges of her lips.
Okay, wait.
It was all-
I have to interject again real quick. What's your least favorite word for sperm?
Juice.
Gotta be between seed and essence.
I was gonna say essence, actually, and not just because of what I just heard right now, I assure you.
Can DNA be an option?
Yes,
that
I
one's
haven't
my-
heard that one, but that
No,
would
because-
also be my worst.
Because
if
that
I'd ever
one,
heard it.
no, because that one's my favorite.
Oh, okay.
It was all too much. I just thought it was completely fucking stupid. But anyway,
Oh my god.
anyway, we'll continue. We'll finish this chapter. It was all too much for the Bat Pony, and she shuddered before tensing as her own orgasm washed over her, squeezing her hoof hard between her hind legs. The poor mare went cross-eyed as wave after wave of pleasure tore through her body. Warm liquid gushed from her marehood. She ain't clean it. She ain't getting that out of anything. Soaking the interior of the survival suit even more. Fuck, that's ripe ass. You have never smelled female ass until you joined the army and gone into a female bay. Oh my god. Oh, and I'm sure it's the same for the females coming in the male bay, but you don't know until you have experienced it. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm just gonna wait until all this is over before I make a burrito.
We're gonna read this and then I'll play this out and then I'll cut the stream.
Warm liquid gushed from her marehood, soaking the interior of her survival suit even more. She groaned around the twin cockheads in her mouth, sending more cum dribbling down her chin. The Yeti stopped howling as it released the last of its seed in several short
Oh my god,
spurts.
now we got that one too.
Panting heavily, it pulled away from the plexiglass, pulling its members. Member is probably my least favorite.
Least favorite word for dick.
I still want to
Yes.
start a band called the Quivering Members.
The quivering members.
Yeah, no,
of
you see, that's where I'm torn
shooting
because I hate
seed.
the word member by itself, but quivering member is just fucking hilarious.
I mean, yeah.
Pulling its members from Blue's mouth in the process. The red spires. Okay, that is my second least favorite. Spire.
Spire.
Fucking.
That's just absurd. Okay.
I'm just imagining fucking Sauron's tower, but a giant.
Yeah, I just thought of a building coming out of his crotch.
Oh god.
The red spires disappeared back into the white fur, and the Yeti turned and trundled away into the blizzard. Coming down from her climax, Blue Moon collapsed onto her back. She stared at the ceiling in a daze, her muzzle and chin covered in warm ropes of cum. Her left hoof was soaked with her own juices. Juicy. As was her winter gear. Smell of heat and sex filled the small building. The Bat Pony laid there for several minutes, basking in her afterglow, until suddenly her eyes flew open and she sat upright. Fuck! She had totally forgotten to screw the damn Yeti, and had simply clopped off. That wasn't going to help her heat. If anything, it was going to make it worse. Not only that, but now her heated scent was even more potent than when she had left the tower. Grumbling to herself, she clambered to her hooves and zipped up her survival suit. Thankfully, the suit was insulated enough. The outside was still dry, even though the interior was a sticky, wet mess.
Ugh, fucking Christ.
Oh, fucking, that's gotta be nasty. Fuck. This is why I don't jack off when I go on drill, because I don't want to be fucking walking around in sticky, wet, fucking underpants, smelling like hot ass, traipsing around after jacking off. That's fucking nasty.
Fuck me.
Very
Anyway,
bad.
walking bow-legged, Blue made her way towards the exit, all while muttering darkly under her breath. It was going to be a long night.
Oh my god.
That's where this chapter ends.
350.
Oh, thank God.
3,514 views. 295 likes to 14 dislikes.
Yep. Yep.
But
Yep.
Yeah.
people actually fucking get off to this.
I
Yeah.
guess so.
How though?
Well, see, I think it has to do with the winking.
Okay,
That she could just masturbate.
what's
inside
the
her-
winking?
It's
Oh,
so
no.
okay. So horses, when they're in heat, they're or normally their clitoris is hidden, but when they're in heat or when they want sex from a stallion, they will clench their muscles, and it'll flick open, like their
Death
they're
upon
clit-
me.
their clit
Okay.
comes out for a second.
Prehensile clit.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh my god.
No, it's not like a hyena. It's not like a hyena.
Ah!
Uh,
God.
it's like it pops out, and then
Long story
and
on
then
the
the
noise in
stallion's like,
background.
"Ooh, she wants to fuck too," and that's how you know.
Okay.
So if ever a horse turns its ass to you and lifts its tail and does that, you know to slowly back away. Okay.
Okay.
Turn around and just run. just run. Just run.
Just run.
Just run.
Okay,
Don't even
so,
think about anything else. Just run.
So it's just actual horse fuckers who get off to it.
Run.
But no,
Run.
no. I mean, it's. I mean, yeah, but it's kind of. This is kind of like furries light. You know, you get people who get off the dog cock, but or they're furries,
Stop
so they get off
reminding
the
me of
anthropomorphic
things.
version.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so this is kind of the anthropomorphic. It's okay that they wink, that they have heat or whatever, even though that wouldn't be necessarily conducive to an organized society, because you have people like this fucking idiot who would have sex with the enemy that just came up to their fucking window because they were all
horny as
riled
hell.
up. They were horny, and the other people could smell the horny, and they'd just be like, fucking, all right, let me extend my dick through this cage and let's get this over with.
Cool.
By the way, I'm having
But either
to,
way,
like, some of my lights just fell off my wall and I'm putting them back up. Fucking live on
Nice.
mic. Yeah, nice.
yeah, the concept of heat in pony society doesn't really make sense to me. I believe they would have biologically developed beyond that, because apes do it and all that shit. So we know that there was enough time at the very least for humans to stop doing that, and there was a good reason, because obviously we rule the world now and we don't do that shit. So yeah, anyway, that's the story. That's what I read. Here you go. Now you know.
Reading Rainbow.
It's take a look. It's in a book. This isn't a book. It's fucking fan fiction. I don't come here.
Fucking
Hell.
fanfic porn. Cool.
It's hell on earth, that's what it is.
Hell in a cell. Hello, brother.
Elf on a shelf.
I never understood the elf on the shelf thing.
I don't either, man. Just some
Was
fucking...
it like was it from some ad or something?
It's some fucking mom shit, that's what it is.
Okay.
God damn it.
Humanity.
Yeah, humanity. I'm not stopping the stream until I put these lights up, so I apologize about the noise.
That's fine.
Anyway, that was the worst thing I've ever heard.
You're lying.
Would you like to read the next chapter?
No.
Nah, I'd like to eat at some point tonight.
You'd like to eat, you say?
Yeah.
What's stopping you from eating?
Horse
The
ass?
short-term memory of fucking winking or whatever the fuck you called it.
That's winking.
Yeah.
You mean horse ass.
Anyway, temporary solution to permanent problem. Fix the light. Well...
I thought you were talking about stopping the stream.
Oh, no. No, well, I am going to.
Are we gonna play a
The
game? Or
permanent
something?
problem being your painful existence.
No. No.
I'm just gonna
No.
watch the stream over after it's done.
I'm probably gonna go into the edit thing and cut out when I was, like, testing setup stuff. But...
Is
feel
anybody
free.
gonna watch this?
I don't fucking care, dude.
And I can just
Okay.
skip it. Nobody's
In that
really
case,
gonna.
it's a good excuse to test editing skills.
No, it's not editing skills. It's just a YouTube editor.
Oh,
Yeah.
that editor.
Yeah. I just wanted to see, like, because I enjoyed this.
Yeah, it was alright.
I enjoyed, especially in the second part, enjoyed it's in the largest, like I said, the largest quotation marks I can find in Word.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
That's why it's part number 2. Get it? Get it?
I guess. All is hell. War is hell. What a wonderful recording.
Yeah, are you still streaming?
Yeah, I was trying to play Holiday in Cambodia, but then my thing crashed.
Oh, okay, good. So you're
Nah,
not
there we
streaming
go.
anymore.
No, I am.
Oh, damn
What do you want to tell me, Brandon?
it. You'll find out once you cut the stream, Drew.
You're gay? I already knew that.
Related.
Oh, ass fucking sore. Oh,
Also related.
why? Why? I don't even know why. Nobody beat my ass. I'm not gay. I just was fucking sore.
Good night, everybody.